Just go with the flow.
Okay.
All right. Let's see who all comes in. Hey, everybody. We'll give you guys a moment to come on in. I know our other broadcast that you guys were able to see, it got cut off. So we have a new one up. And I know you can see on the other screen who my special guest is. Myron Rolle, say hi.
Hello.
He's like, whoa. So we're just going to give people a moment to come on in. And if you're in here, go ahead and say hello. And I'm going to check the sports and entertainment today page as well and see if you guys are in here. I'm going to go ahead and share it on my page. So, hey, so if you're coming on in, don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Definitely just type in the comment section and say, hey, or forget about me, because a lot of y'all probably used to seeing my face and maybe his, but go ahead and say, hey, Myron, if you're coming on in. All right. So we got Set Magazine is in the building saying what's up. And we're going to wait for some more people to come on in. So all the way from the Bahamas, how you doing this evening, Myron?
Doing well. The internet had cut off and cut on. The power had cut off and cut on. It's island life. It kind of happens. But we're here in Nassau at the Atlantis Hotel. And, excited.
Did you guys hear that? So I don't know if we really can feel too sorry for him, because he said the power is going in and out, but he happens to be at the Atlantis Hotel. So I don't know if I feel too sorry for him, because he's around here with like underground hotel rooms and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, Atlantis is a prize, certainly, and this place is home. This place is home, so it's exciting. It's good to be home.
I'm sure, and you deserve it. And we're going to get to that tonight. A lot of people already know your story. They know so much about your lifestyle and your accomplishments. So we're going to kind of go down memory lane, bring everybody up to speed with all the many accomplishments that you've done on and off the field, especially off the field in the medical field. But we want to give people an opportunity to make their way in. So if you guys are coming in, if you have any questions that you would like for me to ask, Myron, this is your chance. So you want to make sure that you let me know whatever questions you may have. This is your time. Don't be shy. He can't even see what you look like anyway, that much. So, so any questions that you may have for Myron Rolle, definitely type those in the comment section, and we're going to get this interview started very, very, very shortly. And if you see here, you see the shirt that I'm rocking tonight? Can you see it, Myron?
No.
I'm giving you a hint. You can't see it?
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. There we go. FSU.
Yeah. So I actually am at Florida. What'd you say?
Oh, shout out FSU. It's great. Seminoles. Let's get it.
Yes, I am also an FSU alum. So that's going to make it an extra good night tonight. You know?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So I know we started a little bit later. We'll go ahead and get started. And I think some people, they'll be trickling in. But if any of you, just give you a quick little formal introduction. Many of you probably already know about this amazing Bahamian man. But definitely, I want to give you guys a recap really quickly. He's a former FSU football player, safety, had the Rhodes Scholarship. I even did some research, and they said that you were the second smartest athlete, which was said by Sports News. So I was like, ooh, excuse me. That's an amazing, amazing accomplishment to see that you have to pursue medical school. And I hear that you have a graduation coming up as well. Is that correct?
That is correct. In a couple of days, Saturday, May 20th.
So when's the actual graduation?
10 a.m. at Ruby Diamond Hall, and it should be last about an hour. And then after that, MD at the end of the name, and I'm excited for sure.
Woo!
It's gonna be fired up.
Yeah, so you guys give it up. Can you guys believe that? Just Okay, Florida State University. He is going to be MD. How amazing is that? So, I mean, we congratulate. We're super proud of you. That's an amazing, amazing accomplishment. So is that why you're in the Bahamas right now, relaxing a little bit?
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So, I figured that during my residency, which I'm sure we'll get into later, it's 7 years. It's up in Boston at Harvard. And I won't have too many opportunities to see my folks down here in the Bahamas. This is where we're all from. This feels home to me. I get good rest and relaxation here, and just a chance to say peace and eat some peas and rice and conch with my family and go worship with them and go work out with them and do all the things that, anybody who loves their family would do. So this is the reason why I'm here right now, for sure.
Okay. All right. Good. And then I heard you're also going to be doing your Insta story with Set Magazine on Saturday with your graduation as well.
That's correct. Yes.
So we get that sneak peek into that whole process of graduating. So I'm gonna get into it. You've done so many different interviews. So, when you're interviewing somebody, you always try to see how can we make this just a little bit different, just a smidget. And so one of the first questions I wanted to ask you, it's obvious that you're a Black man, Yep. And I thought about just so many things that have been going on lately in the Black community. I was looking at before Brown shot in Ferguson, Philando Castile, who was shot in Minnesota, Alton Sterling in Baton Rouge. Do you have any fear yourself, even though you're extremely smart and articulate and doing so many great things? Do even you, someone as yourself with your high stature, ever have fears when it comes to being a Black man in America?
Yes. The short answer is yes. As I mentioned, we came from the Bahamas, and one of the lessons that my parents taught me and my 4 older brothers was, to respect authority, certainly, but to be aware that because of our skin tone, because of what we look like, and because of our gender, that we may be a target, even when we don't do anything wrong, that we may be a target. So, and when I
you're breaking up a little bit.
I'm behind me. So when I'm driving down the street now, and I see a cop pull up behind me, and even though I know I haven't done anything wrong, and as you mentioned, I'm smart and I have plans to go places and do things,
right.
There's still some fear that exists in me, because what if this person misrepresents or misunderstands what I'm doing or who I am, or categorizes me just because of my skin tone and my gender, and we've seen it happen many, many times. So yeah, that fear exists for me, just like it exists for anybody else. The way to mitigate that, in my opinion, is to, just continue to be who you are, know your rights, know the understanding of the law, like keep that in your mind too. But at the same time, make it through, right? I mean, the important thing is to make it through, tell your story, protest if you need to, reach the right authorities if you need to, and get it out there, that the mistreatment exists and still exists today. I think it's better to be here with us, present, and tell your story and march on it and feel good about it than, not being with us and having someone else take the pen from you and write your own story. So yeah, short answer, yes, I do feel that same pressure and stress as any Black male in America does.
Okay, thank you for sharing that, and just that honesty, those real feelings that do exist. And so to segue into other feelings, Florida State is an amazing school to go to, but a lot of people, when I talk to them, they're like, oh, that's a party school, And I want to know for you, I mean, we see the fraternity shirt, yes. Kappa Alpha Psi. Knowing that you played football. I see you. You.
That's all I was gonna give you. I thought about giving you a shimmy, but I said I can't do it. I can't do it too much.
Give it to us later. They're gonna want to see it later. They're gonna want to see a little shimmy later.
Maybe later.
So I wanted to know with you, I mean, a lot of stigma around, you know, men that are in a fraternity, the ladies' man. You're at this campus, you're a football player.
Right.
So a lot of times people equate that not just with being on the field, but parties, women, just a fun lifestyle. And I just wanted to know for you, because you are laser focused, and it seemed like you've always been very laser focused on your academic goals and sports, your athletic goals. So to just really be honest for everyone who's watching, how are you able to have that discipline or have that accountability with someone else helping you to stay on track? Like, what was it for you while you were in school that helped you to stay focused, even though you were surrounded by so many distractions?
Sure. Yeah. Florida State definitely was known as a party school. But I guess I've always been somewhat stubborn in the sense that I knew I was going to choose a school based on what I wanted and how it felt to me, right? Coming out of New Jersey, I grew up in New Jersey. Once I left here in the Bahamas, I spent majority of my adolescent years in New Jersey. And my friends and teachers and counselors told me I should have gone to Stanford or Duke or Northwestern, a school that would lend itself more to the academic interest that I had, where I can be a true student athlete. But I felt FSU was right for me because I felt good about the coaches there. I felt good about, that's right. I felt good about the fan support. I felt good about my maturation as a student, as an athlete, as a leader, as a Christian. All of these things, I felt they could put their hands on me and help edify me to a new place. And even when I entered, that focus that you mentioned came from this idea that I'm given this great opportunity to be at this great school. My parents sacrificed a lot to leave the Bahamas and come and provide this sort of opportunity for me. That is not, it wouldn't make any sense, and it wouldn't be a wise move to be complacent and to blow this opportunity by getting distracted, by getting involved in things that may take me off course. Also, frankly, I was never a good spades player. I was never a good spades player, so my boys would never pick me. I wasn't like a huge partier. I wasn't going out all the time, and my teammates kind of protected me on that too. They would be like, "Hey, Myron, you can be president one day, bro. You can't come to the club with us or something like that." So, they would kind of protect me in that respect. But the focus was there because I knew there were bigger goals that were had, and I had people around me to help keep me focused. My teammates, my family, my pastors, my friends, just so many people who put their hands on me and said, "Look, you came here for a reason. We're counting on you. We're relying on you to do big things and accomplish these goals. Get it done, and don't allow the distractions that occur for all of us, whether you're a student athlete or a non-student athlete. Don't let that take you away."
Wow. And so even with that, though, I'm sure you've seen it. Like, you have your teammates. I'm sure you've seen teammates that maybe didn't have great time management and weren't as focused. And I'm sure they had goals as well, maybe not medical school, but they still had academic goals as well. So what do you think, what tip can you give other young men out there where you can help them to make these good decisions? Like, what is it that you can say to these young men who are in college that are dealing with these real temptations, being a college student or just being a successful young man? What are some tips that you can give them to help them to stay on track? What are some practicals?
Well, I'd say keep reminding themselves of the end goal, and however you do that, whether that's putting it on your computer screen, whether it's writing it on your wall, whether that's having a voice message that you always listen to over and over again. Whatever it is to remind you that, look, there's an end goal, there's an end game, and I need to take the steps every single day to get there. That's important, because sometimes I feel like we go through life and we're like, man, it's too hard today, it's too hard the next day, it's going to be tough or whatever. But you don't realize at the end of the tunnel, like it's going to be great, it's going to be rewarding, and you're going to be able to rejoice and relax, and then you'll be able to look back and say, you know what? Through that process, I was forged into a better man or better woman. And so I'd say keep the goals present, and however you do that in your line of vision. For me, it was putting it on my wall, knowing that I wanted to be a neurosurgeon, knowing that I wanted to be a Rhodes Scholar, knowing that I wanted to be a leader one day, knowing that I wanted to be a father and a husband and just a community leader. I kept those things present, and it was like a consistent reminder, like, look, even though the days are hard, the days are long, even though it seems like sometimes people are against me, I know God's with me, and I know that these goals are going to be accomplished, and I'm going to make sure of it.
I love that. And you just said something that really resonated with me. A lot of times when I do interviews, especially a lot of women aspire to one day be married and be a wife. And even for me, from a biblical perspective, it's something that men and women should aspire to want. And so just hearing you now, when you were listing your goals, one of your goals was a husband and to have a family. So how important is that for you in the future to be able to have a wife, to have your family?
Very important. My parents been married 45 years. They met when they were 8. They dated at 15 and they married at 21. And so they've been together forever. I have 2 brothers who are married. They've been married forever. My oldest brother, I felt like he was married to his now wife, but then girlfriend since I was like 4 or 5 years old. She was always around. She was always like another sister to me. And so, yeah, it's important to have a family. It's important to be the head of that family and head of a good Christian household. And I have great examples of that in my life of people who I look up to. Myron Rolle, for instance, his family, the way he runs it, the way my father runs our family, and other people who are just poured into me and giving me real life tangible examples of how it can be. So yeah, it's very important. It's high on the priority list. I think now as I move into a more stable couple years where I'd be in one place doing neurosurgery in one spot, I think that now I'm probably more open to starting that new chapter of having a family and leading one day.
Oh, ladies, did you hear that? I caught it.
Here we go.
I'm like, I caught it. I was pleased you guys were paying attention. So stay tuned to his postgraduate life, family aspirations. But I'm sure that's very, very difficult in a sense, you being in the limelight and having a relationship. Have you tried that in the past?
Yeah, certainly. I've had relationships, they're all quality. Certainly. I certainly have a standard that I look for, and I'm sure they look for standards in me.
Well, tell us about that. Tell us about the standards. What do you look for?
Well,
we all want to know.
Certainly. Yeah, no question. God-fearing is certainly one. Wanting to have a family like me. I mean, the goals got to align. Amos 3:3 says, "Can 2 walk together unless they be agreed?" Right. So the goals have to be aligned. Ambitious, resilient, athletic, or at least appreciates athletics and wants to be fit. That's been a central theme of my life for a long time. Being able to handle tough situations. I look at my mother dealing with 5 boys. Coming over from the U.S. My daddy was always working in Citibank, and sometimes he wasn't able to be there all the time. But Mommy would get us up for school, cut our hair in the kitchen, drive us to school, take us to practice, shop at Marshalls and Sears for our school clothes. I mean, tough. Like, didn't complain and say, you know what, we're starting over in America and we got to get it done. And so somebody like that is phenomenal for me. So that's big. I mean, those are some of the things on paper, but you can put it all on paper. If you don't have that compatibility, in person, that energy doesn't sync, then it's all for naught. But yeah, I've had relationships. I've enjoyed the people I've had a chance to meet in my life. They've come, they've gone. Those are seasons, and I'm moving forward, I guess.
Yes, you are, in many, many, many ways. So I think it was like about a month ago, we talked about a little bit, just like your plans now after graduation. And with you being a neurosurgeon, where would you like to start your practice or start working in that field?
Yeah, so 7 years of neurosurgery. The residency is in Boston. And then I'm thinking about doing another year of fellowship in pediatric neurosurgery specifically. And so that would have to be in a major city that has a children's hospital, like Philadelphia, CHOP, like Sick Kids in Toronto. Those are 2 of the best. Atlanta's got a great children's hospital. So a place that I can, be different than Boston, so I can get a different expertise. And then after that, I would like to practice in Florida for sure. Probably in an academic center. So it'd have to be in a major city that provides opportunities for pediatric neurosurgeons to do work. But my ultimate goal is to spread neurosurgery globally. So that means to come back home here to the Bahamas and practice here as well. That means have telemedicine or be able to be a mobile neurosurgeon in other parts of the world that are underserved, sub-Saharan Africa, parts of South America, even other parts of the Caribbean around Haiti and Nicaragua or other parts that certainly could benefit from this expertise. You know, a lot of times when you think about medicine in these underserved countries, it's usually just primary care, let's fight tuberculosis or malaria or AIDS. But you don't think about the kid who's riding his bike in Bogota, Colombia, who falls, has a subdural hematoma, and needs that evacuated. Now, if that's not evacuated, he may die, or he may just have mental retardation. He may have cognitive decline. He may have all kinds of certain things. And so if me, through a practice, through a team of physicians who are able to go and meet these needs, that'd be great. But to answer your question, primarily probably in Florida, and then expand my tentacles home here to the Bahamas and other parts of the world too.
Okay, I love it. And so what was it that out of everything in the medical field, what made you want to focus on being a neurosurgeon? I know just looking at some things when I looked you up, I know that Ben Carson was hired growing up as well. But what really shaped that passion for neurosurgery?
Well, definitely. Dr. Carson was huge. He kind of planted the seed of neurosurgery in my mind. I read his book, Gifted Hands, when I was very young, and that opened me up to the science. And then as I got to medical school, I spent 2 months.
Oh, so you guys stay tuned, stay in. Remember, Myron Rolle is all the way in the Bahamas right now, and his connection has been a little bit shaky in and out, but he should be coming right back in shortly. So you guys stay tuned. In the meantime, if any of you have any questions for me, don't be shy. It's not every day that you get to talk to someone of his stature with the type of goals who was able to be in the NFL and go to medical school at the same time. Truly a heart for people and want to see change. So if you guys have any questions for him, please, whoop, 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 hey there. So please, please, please go ahead and put your questions in the comment section. And as soon as he comes back in, because he'll be in here any second now, as soon as he comes back in, I definitely want to ask some of your questions. So fellas, ladies, what you got for Myron Rolle? Let us know. Ooh, Tanya, honey, yes. Oh, he is single. He is single. And he just talked about that. And the good thing about it is not only is he single, before he was under very stressful situations as far as with his residency. And you know, now he's open. He is open now that he's about to graduate. Yes, exactly. He could definitely check out exclusivestandards.com for sure, for sure. So hopefully he'll be back in. Thank you so much for your patience. So any other questions? Tanya had a great question about, is he single or not? I know a lot of ladies wanted to know that. Any other questions? I made sure when he first came in, I wanted to know just his experience as a Black man. And even though he was in residency for medical school, extremely articulate, smart man with many goals, at the end of the day, he's still a Black man. And he actually had some fears being a Black man. So that was, you know, I really appreciated his vulnerability, sharing that with all of us as well. So hoping I'm going to check what's going on with our friend right here, see if he's coming back. In the meantime, because he will be coming back in, go ahead and if you can share this video, please go ahead and share this video with your friends right now on your Facebook page so we can have even more followers come in and listen to Myron Rolle. So definitely go ahead and do that. Por favor. And we'll give him a couple more minutes to come in. He should be coming in soon. So any more questions? Watch, you're going to come back and then you're going to wish you put a question out there. So if you guys are good, thank you so much. I know I just saw Rose shared the video. So please, please share this video to your Facebook page. I appreciate it. So we'll wait for him to come back in. But if you guys are just tuning in, that's right. Woo, woo. Right. is a Seminole, honey. So, I was excited to interview him. I was like, what? A Florida State Seminole? Of course I'll interview you. Why not? Oh, this is a good question. So Tanya said, what advice does he have for, hey, he's back. So we're going to use that question. Hi, Myron.
Hey, my bad. Island life, man.
No, it's okay. That's okay. I started doing like a stand-up comedy act while you were gone. So it's all good.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
So to be fair, like while you were gone, I was asking some of the men and women who are on here some questions for you. So one of them wanted to know, I think they want to hear it like out of your mouth, like you say it word for word. So people want to know, so does that mean you're single, Myron?
Yes.
Okay. So everybody hears that. Yes. Okay. Because even after we talked about it, somebody was like, so is he single? And I'm like, yes, he is. And so another question someone had, Tanya in Orlando, what advice does he have for young men that want to play in the NFL or NBA? Is there anything that they should be aware of?
Yes. Be aware that the statistics to get in the NFL, the NBA are very, very low and not favorable to everybody who has a dream of doing it. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but just means that it's difficult to do. And it requires a lot of work, right? It requires talent, but then also the work to go with that. I hate calling things like backup plans. I like calling them parallel roads. If you want to get into the NFL, the NBA, you have to keep grades to get into college and get a scholarship to those places. To continue to play, you have to continue with those grades. So why not try to be the best you possibly be as a student or as a leader and as a thinker, along with trying to be in NFL, the NBA? Because those two things work on each other. What I mean by that is the commitment, the dedication, strategizing, the overcoming adversity, the mitigating pressure, all these things, the teamwork, you have to use in your life as a student.
Right.
And you can use that in your life as an NFL player and NBA player as well. And so the two roads feed off of each other. And so even though the chances of getting to the NBA or NFL are slim, they still exist. And if for some reason you don't make it there, you've still taken a road that's parallel and that could give you a lasting, enduring impact in the future. So for young men, young women thinking about going into professional sports, I'd say go at it with all your vigor and veracity, work hard at it, try to be the best you possibly be. But at the same time, keep in mind that a life as a leader and as a thinker that runs parallel to that will not take away from it. It actually will help improve that. So think about that in the process too.
And now for you, though, at one point you came to a crossroads. Like you had to make a decision which one you were going to focus on the most. So tell all of us what made you pick the medical field over the NFL? Because a lot of people would probably think, oh, my gosh, why didn't you continue in the game of football longer?
Yeah. Well, I chose medicine. Well, first I had a choice between Oxford or the NFL right away. I put my name in after my junior year at Florida State into a scouting service to kind of get an idea of where I'd end up in the draft. And the scouting service came back and said I'd be a second round pick. So that's a decent amount of money, $2-3 million maybe guaranteed, right? Signing bonus money right now, right away. Mm-hmm. I asked Oxford if I could postpone the Rhodes Scholarship until I finished playing in the NFL, and they said no. So it's either take it now or don't get it. And so that put me at a crossroads to go to Oxford as a Rhodes Scholar or go as a second-round pick in the NFL. I thought about how this decision would affect my future. I thought about how young people will draw inspiration from this decision. And I thought about the network and the relationships that I can build from the Rhodes Scholar Oxford community, full of bright, brilliant, compelled people to one day take over the world or help lead the world. I thought that it would behoove me and it would set me to new heights. I came back to the NFL, got drafted in the 6th round instead of the 2nd round. I made $70,000 signing bonus instead of $2-3 million. And I only played, 2 to 3 years instead of 8 or 9 as was projected. But, I don't regret it now. As I look back on it, I think it was a great decision. I left with my hands healthy, no concussions. I'm able to perform surgery and do well. I'm able to think and be an active, involved member of our community. And God's got a way sometimes of moving you out of things that you think that you want to do into new roles and new purpose that you could benefit a lot more people. So that's kind of the way I take it.
You about to start preaching, Myron. Go on.
I dropped Amos 3:3 on you. Just put some on you right now. Come on. I'm with it.
I love it. And so actually, I want to bring that into the next question. It's like so fitting. One of our viewers asked, how has your faith in God helped you get to where you are today? Now, before you answer that question, though, I just want you to ask that, because I help a lot of men and women with their faith as well. And so ask that in the most practical way as possible, because sometimes I think when people answer that, if someone maybe is new to their faith, it's hard for them to connect to the message and what you're trying to convey spiritually. So how do you feel like just your relationship with God in the most practical sense? Like, what does that look like for you, having a relationship with God?
Well, I got saved April 19th, 1998. And I wouldn't say that day I became perfect. I'm certainly not. We're all not. But I think I became more
not perfect.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, absolutely not. But I think that day I became a little bit more deliberate with my actions and with my decisions. And
so what happened in 98? What happened then?
So when I was, even before that, maybe like 96, 97, I was a great student, always, great athlete, but my behavior was untoward. It didn't match my academic and my athletic success. I felt that if I did well in school and scored all the touchdowns on the football field, I really could act like how I wanted to act in the classroom, in the community, and do whatever I wanted to do. And I used to fight a little bit. So one kid called me the N-word, and he called my mother the P-word, and I gave him some work. I put my hands on him. He had to go and be seen at a hospital or a clinic for his injuries, and he took us to court. And I remember going in Atlantic City, at a courthouse in AC, standing in front of a judge and explaining to him why I did what I did and why I was, remorseful for what I did. And I remember turning around in that courtroom and seeing my mother. Daddy was a bit more stoic, but seeing mommy, very discouraged and upset. They made a huge sacrifice for us to be in America. And now my opportunities for whatever vision she had for me might have been squandered because of behavior issues. Thankfully, by the grace of God and a really good lawyer, I was able to get off and really I didn't do any community service. I didn't have any charges pressed. Like, everything was okay. But at that point, I think I made a pivot to kind of change and to think about my future a little bit more. And so then I gave my life to Christ. And again, the academics and athletics were always high, but the behavior and the mannerisms and the attitude had to meet that. And I think in a practical sense that you're asking, my attitude about life, my perspective on people and relationships and situations, I think it changed my scope when I got Christ in my life. And now it does the same thing. People say, oh, Myron, you're the smartest guy who ever played football, or, you're going this and you're going to do that, and put all these labels and titles. And I'm appreciative of that, really, because it speaks to the work that my parents and people before me have put in. But also, I have perspective to know that, realistically, this could be gone tomorrow. And I need to celebrate and enjoy what I have today and say I love you to the people that I have today, because I know it could be gone. I know one bad move like I made as a young person in New Jersey could have changed the whole course of how things worked. But thankfully, somebody supernaturally stepped in and intervened and said, we're not done with you yet. We got different plans for you. And now this plan is to help heal people in the operating room and hopefully lead people as a role model. And so I don't take that lightly. I take that very seriously. So that's how my faith plays a role in what I do now.
I love it. Thank you for that answer. And for me, just as a success coach and a believer as well, I always tell people all the time, you don't have to be perfect, just purposed, And so long as you have that purpose and you know who gave it to you, God will continue leading you and guiding you, along your path. And so that sounds like for you, it's like, no way, shape, or form am I perfect, but you're focused on fulfilling your purpose. So
Right.
that's amazing. Someone else just wanted to know, man, we got my viewers are amazing. So one time for just everyone who's tuning in right now, thank you so much. If some of you are coming in late, it's not too late to share this video on your page. Please do so now. This is an amazing interview with Myron Rolle. And so LaQuisha says, did you see the Will Smith movie Concussion? And what did you think about it? What are your views on that movie?
Yeah, so how nerdy can I get with you right now? Is it okay?
Do it. Ladies, let's have them get nerdy. Get nerdy. Go for it.
All right, so I did see the movie Concussion. I thought it was a good movie, and it drew awareness to the issue. I think concussions are very serious, and they used to be kind of nebulous. You think about cartoons back in the day, right? You can see like a coyote getting hit on the head, and they're seeing stars and birds around, and it's a laughing moment, right? Yeah, for sure. It's a light moment of levity. It's, that's what it is. As we've learned more about concussions, it's become a more serious issue. Boxer pugilistica, which was just, only boxers get dementia because they get hit in the head all the time. Now we're starting to see potentially the links between traumatic brain injury and chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE. And people are being more aware of it. But there's all sorts of angles that you need to take with concussions. I mean, one is changing the culture around football and hockey and these sports. Instead of emphasizing and highlighting the major high-velocity impact collision hits, emphasize some of the fundamentals about the game. Show those highlights more. De-emphasize, the big concussive kind of hits, because as a young person, you want to emulate your favorite players. And if you see that, then you're like, okay, and if I'm going to get acknowledgement from that, if the crowd's going to go, ooh, about that, then, that's you're going to lend yourself to playing that way. I think also the games need to be shorter, right? I mean, Clemson in the national championship football game said if they can wear down Alabama by running 100 plays, offensive plays, then they would win. That's 40 more plays than they usually run. That's 40 more opportunities for a concussive episode to happen. So the referees and the game management, I think that needs to be addressed. Equipment needs to be proper. Technique needs to be adjusted. We need to subtype concussions and treat it more on the symptoms that are predominant, like migraines or memory problems or cognitive issues or oculomotor problems or equilibrium imbalance issues, rather than just trying to have a shotgun approach at treating concussions. We need to know the neuropathophysiology about concussions and study it more. I think we also need to address, and this is the last point I have because I'm ranting, but I'm obviously very passionate about this.
That's okay. I love it.
I think we also need to address the social psychology behind concussions and the failure to report. You have a lot of players who have these subacute symptoms that say, you know what, I got to be macho, I got to be tough, I got to do this for my team.
I just wanted to pause right there.
I don't want to pull myself out of a game because then I'll look weak or I'll look soft. There's nothing more concerning to an NFL player or a football player than to be called soft by your teammates. And if you come out because you're kind of off your baseline a little bit, but you're not laid out on the ground, and maybe your trainers and the team physician and your coaches cannot see it,
right?
Then that's a problem. So mitigating this idea that reporting subacute symptoms is being soft or being weak or not being a team player, we need to address that. So yeah, there's a lot of work to be done in concussions. Harvard has a great program looking at players' health study and partnering with the NFLPA, and I look forward to exploring more of that in my residency up there.
Good. And you touched on something that I think is not just when it comes to concussions and like-minded injuries. I noticed just from research when it comes to men in general, it's harder for them to be open about things that are bothering them. Because that's, even for me as a counselor, even in the mental health profession, women are more likely to admit that they have certain mental illness symptoms rather than a man. And then I recently did a police training on communication, and just even for them, many of them, it's harder for them to admit that they're hurting, even when it's just, I'm going through a divorce or something like that. It's harder for them to talk about those things. What do you think we can do, maybe for men to men, to encourage men to be open and to be honest about the different issues that they're facing, whether it's an injury or mental health or maybe just life issues that are bothering them, to get them to open up more and not have that shame, that stigma that, oh, I'm not macho anymore?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And during my rotations, even in medical school, a lot of the patients that we saw, if they were men, they would tell us, "Oh, doc, I'm here because my wife told me I should come here." Right? Like it's always like the woman saying, "Go see the doctor about something." Right? So I
Mm-hmm.
agree with you on that 100%. I think what can help men to be more open about their health is kind of what's happening now a little bit, but I'd like to see more of it is reaching them on levels that matter to them, whether it be through sports figures. You know, if you see these commercials for blood thinners to help prevent against pulmonary embolisms and things like that, you have sports figures, people who are recognizable to men, speaking out about some of these issues. And so men are, who like sports are more likely to listen to those things. Be in the spaces of where men are. Be in the barbershops where men congregate and listen and get their advice or get their daily dose of gossip or whatever it may be. Be in those places and really push those agendas. I think it's important that men understand that if you get out front of some of these issues, you have a chance of living a better and more comfortable life. So I think it's about meeting them where they are, finding the influencers in their life, and continuing to push that, and also making the health system and the environment more male friendly, right? I mean, having people who look like them come talk to them, right? So if you're in a predominantly black neighborhood and Southeast DC, have a black primary care physician come and speak to them, or have a black nurse practitioner come and speak to them about these things. So they're able to say, you know what, I feel like this is my brother talking to me about this, and not some higher up MD with this degree that kind of looks down on me. I think that can go a long way too.
Okay, good. And you touched on a lot. Someone had a question. A lot of times there's black men that are associated with violence. And Tanya was just saying, are there any recommendations to encourage people in the black community to deal with mental illness? That a lot of that, the violence that's seen, a lot of it's comes from mental illnesses that they may face. So is there anything that, we could do to encourage them to be open? And so you addressed a lot of that. And I think that's important for them to have someone they can look up to in the medical profession that looks like them, that they can kind of relate to.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about it. I mean, if you see a real life tangible example of somebody who cares for you and knows you and gets you on a deeper level, more profound level than somebody speaking down to you, more people would be more open to follow whatever it is, intervention or therapy or change of lifestyle that may occur. And certainly mental illness is a problem. We've tried to pray it away a lot of times, or, we've tried to, kind of hide it away because there's a fear of being shamed or stigmatized by it, but it's real, and it needs to be addressed. And we can't wait for politicians in suits in DC or in our capitals to come forward about this. I think it's a community grassroots initiative that needs to occur by the whole community, not to look down on it, to find support, not to tease about it, not to talk bad about it, not to shame anybody about it, but to say, look, how can we get this young person some help? Because there's probably a lot of potential and promise in a young person, and right now they're being blocked because of this mental illness that's real. It's a real thing. It's not made up.
Yeah. Good. And so with that, dealing with the youth, I know that you're big on giving back to the youth, supporting the youth, pouring into the youth. So tell us all, what are you doing to give back and to help the youth?
Yeah. So, first one I give back is trying to be a pillar of hope and a beacon of what they possibly could be. Staying connected through social media, through interviews like this, where I'm able to, show an example of what I had growing up. So my daddy would put Sir Lyndon Pinley, and for those who don't know, that's the father of our country here in the Bahamas, right? He put him in front of me. He put Sir Milo Butler, first GG, Governor General, Booker T. Washington, Paul Robeson, a thespian, an athlete, a writer, like just a true Renaissance man. He put Ben Carson, Kofi Annan, Nelson Mandela, some of these great figures in front of me, so that I could, believe in myself that, one day I can be like these men who look like me. But then also I have a foundation. I started in 2009. It's the Myron Rolle Foundation. And we do work health and wellness initiatives in America and also back here in the Bahamas. We've done a wellness and leadership academy for foster kids in Florida for 7 years now, taking 50 boys, 50 girls from all over the state in foster care, 13 and 17 years of age. We bring them for a 5-day overnight camp experience, talk about leadership, talk about character building, healthy, nutritional eating, because you can't be a leader and get out in the front lines if you're living a sedentary life and don't have the energy and active to do it. We talk about conflict resolution. These foster kids sometimes come with emotional problems where they feel like nobody cares for them. They move from group home to group home, and they feel like they're kind of excluded from the youth movement of the state of Florida and the youth movement of the country. And so, we talk to them about dealing with their conflicts in different kind of ways. Then I bring a lot of my NFL buddies and celebrity friends to speak life into them and hopefully help them rediscover their ability to dream. We've replicated that same program here in the Bahamas. We've done it here in Nassau. We've also done it in some of the out islands, Exuma, Abaco, and Grand Bahama as well. It's been effective. We worked with the Ministry of Social Services here in Florida. We work with the Department of Children and Family Services. So it's been effective. It's the highlight of my year when I'm able to look at these young people and they come up to me and say, Mr. Myron, so happy that you've done this. I believe in myself now. I'm going to college. I'm going to be great. And I think I have a shot at this. And it warms me. It just gives me a feeling of purpose and, it's more rewarding than any touchdown I might have scored playing football or any interception or anything like that. It's just a great feeling to see young people see that light turn on. They believe that they're going to be great. I like that. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And on a lighter note, I want to know, for someone who's so focused, I don't know about you, I have certain songs in my playlist that get me like crunk, like, okay, Keita, you can do this, go get it. Like for me, just this last summer, and I thought I was going to lose my mind, but there was those certain songs that I could listen to that would keep me focused and keep me motivated. So if someone was to kind of take a peek in your playlist, what would we find? Like, what are your songs that get you motivated, get you pumped?
Well, we'd find
who is that?
A lot of soca music.
Okay.
We find some reggae. I have like
you're breaking up a bit. So I got the soca. You said some reggae music. And then let's see if we can get you back again. I'm like, I want to know what's in his playlist. Myron, are you still there? Oh, we broke up a little bit, you guys. So we'll hang tight. He got out again. I just want to say, viewers, you guys are the most amazing supportive viewers tonight, knowing that Myron Rolle is in the Bahamas as we speak and having just a horrible connection right now, going in and out with power outages. So I appreciate him persevering through that. I appreciate all of you who are sticking it out, staying on here to listen to this interview. Set Magazine and myself, we truly, truly appreciate you staying on. Definitely appreciate it. He should be coming back in, and then once he comes back in, we'll wrap it up for tonight. So if any of you have any final questions, you can go ahead and type them in. And as soon as he comes back in, we'll wrap it up for the evening. So I think he's getting in one more time, right? 3 times the charm, you guys. So I think he's going to be coming in shortly. And just one more question. Oh, thank you so much, LaQuisha. I know with the power outages, it was kind of crazy tonight, but thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. So while we're waiting, just so you all know, these amazing interviews are brought to you by Set Magazine's. So if you haven't followed them, please be sure to do that. And all of you, I'm Dr. Keita Joy, success coach, corporate trainer, and public speaker. And I just being able to connect with so many successful people who are in sports and entertainment, and for them to be able to share their experiences with all of us, to empower us to truly be our best in our walks of life. So for this evening, we have Myron Rolle on here, and hopefully he'll be able to tune back in. and join in on the party. So we'll give him like 1 minute to come in. And so if anybody has any last questions that you want to ask him, something burning on your heart, this former NFL player, Florida State football player, and now soon to be MD. How amazing is that? MD, a medical student graduating this weekend. So if you have any final questions for Myron Rolle, go ahead and type that in now, and we'll give him a few seconds to see if he comes back in this evening. Okay, so even though the video ends, you can still share this video on your page, and if people weren't able to tune in tonight, they can go ahead and watch the replay with no problem. So please be sure to do that. Okay, so it looks like he's having some technical issues. So, but we thank him for his time. He did an amazing job being honest with us, vulnerable with us. We talked about from what's in his plan to concussion, to back to the community, to his faith, to his relationship status. We all know he's single. We talked about so many really awesome things tonight. So thank you so much for tuning in. And I am Dr. Keita Joy. I am Set, okay, with Set Magazine. And thanks you guys so much for tuning in. Good night.